live on YouTube. All right. So let me minimize this. Welcome. We are live. Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome to Mama's Cocktail Hour. I am your host, Zeta Lisa.
And I'm Nancy G.
And we are so excited to have our guest here who talks all things love, the amazing Omar McCray. Welcome.
Hey guys, what's going on? Nice to do this one more again.
Oh my God. He says
It's all
again
good.
because let's tell all our viewers what's going on. So we did this amazing podcast where we tried something
Yeah,
the first time. We had all the girls here. We were all at the big table doing our usual thing. And for whatever reason, the audio messed up. And we had this great visual, but no audio. And I was like mortified.
Oh no.
So I had to say, yo, let's give it one more go.
nah, it happens. It happens. It
I
happens.
know. The
It's all
production
good.
game is so real.
Listen, I it gets like that, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to make lemonade. That's all.
Yo, I agree. So first of all, we have to shout out your dope ass background.
Thank you. So real quick though, I'm all about women empowerment. It's something that I've been passionate about as being an educator. We should be about empowering our young women.
Right.
I've been on record saying women, you guys are the closest thing to the man above that we'll ever encounter. So
Right.
who better to wear the crown?
Ooh, very
So,
nice.
All types of love from all my girl fans.
Yes.
Guys, Omar is single and ready to mingle with the right girl. I remember that from the last time.
I just said I was dating, but that too. But yeah.
Don't get shy now on mamas. Come
Let's
on.
not do it.
Mama's
You have
cocktail
to go
hour.
ahead and do your thing.
Yeah, but I can only speak from the heart. So you know what I'm saying? Being a dad, I just want to make sure my son has the same perspective, to respect women and, just be a pillar of a gentleman,
Absolutely.
So just a better version of his dad. You know what I mean? We can only hope to, push that next generation forward. So yeah.
I think that's super dope. And I love how you said just better
Thank you.
than your dad, because I think we talk
Yeah.
a lot about on mamas how we try to fray away from what used to be the cultural norms and now starting to learn to parent the way we want to parent versus what was generational.
That's
Yeah,
right.
most definitely.
Yeah.
I love how you said that because that just shows how you're trying to basically change the generation of men from here on out to respect women, to understand that in a relationship it's 100. So that's amazing. I think that's super dope.
Thank you.
Shout out to you for being a dope dad because we like to highlight dads. So
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
mean, it's one of those things where it's effortless for me. I know what's easy for some is difficult for others, but for me, it's just I have a great, rapport with my son's mom, and also my son being just like a dope kid. You wanna preserve that. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
I mean, it's crazy. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was giving my son a haircut, and a lady in the barbershop was saying, you're a good dad. I mean, but the thing is, like, I was just doing daddy stuff.
A regular, right?
It's not something I'm doing for show. Like, I just wipe his mouth because he got stuff on his mouth. I'm telling him to chill out because I'm his father and I need him to chill out. You know what I'm saying? So I guess part of what we can talk about also today is just, it's like that misconception that just because a guy shows up doesn't mean he's a great dad. You know what I'm saying? It takes more than just showing up to be a great dad. You understand? Like,
yeah, I agree.
I'm there, I'm present. You know what I'm saying? So when she said that, she kind of read my reaction because I was just like, thanks. But it's just like, I do this. Like, I love my son. Like, I'm present, but I'm also active. You understand? So I think we have to really really break down that misconception. Like just because a father is present doesn't mean he's active. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that should be really understood.
Wow, that's actually a really good point. Because like you said, we deal with that a lot in I know the Hispanic culture where there's a lot of families, and I know it happens in every culture where families stay together because it's the social norm. It's what's normal to do. It's the socially accepted thing to do. And then you'll have someone who is, like you said, present but not active.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So
and it's all for perspective. It's just for people to kind of have that image that it's a two family, a mother and a father household.
Exactly.
But it's not really a household, you know? It's not really a family unit. It's just there for show, if you will.
Exactly.
No, I agree.
That's a great point.
Realize that. Did she catch your drift when you said that?
No, I don't think so.
She was like, "Oh, I gave you a compliment."
No, but
like, what's going on?
But thank you though. I'm just going in and out a little bit.
Oh, really?
Sorry. Yeah, but it's on me. It's not on you. It's
okay. All right, no worries.
Okay.
So, yep, we're gonna dive right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Can you hear us?
I can hear y'all good now. We good now.
Okay.
We good now.
Good.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, let's just please tell us, who is Omar King McCray?
Omar King Mcrae is that's a great question. Y'all starting off early.
You know how we do on mamas.
Let's just do this. Come on, don't hold back.
Oh no, not at all. Never that. I'm just a Black man just trying to be the best dad that he can be.
I love
it. At the end of the day, if you're not trying to be the best person that you can be, then what are we doing? Right. So when you ask me who I am, that's the first thing that came to mind, because what I've realized over these past couple weeks is the fact that and we're gonna take this we're just gonna take it a different way, but we're on this planet for but so much time.
Right.
You know, so if we're not doing the things that we love, right? If we're not around the people that we love, if we're not giving forth that love and affection, it's kind of like, what are we doing? Right. So it's funny when you ask me that, I'm starting to realize my whole thing is just positivity, you know, love, and just trying to preserve this world better for the kids and the generation after us. Because at some point in time in our lives, our passions becomes what preserves the future. You know what I mean? So that's my groundwork.
Wow.
So when you ask me who I am, it's like I'm not really one to go give you like a list of things that I've done, because I feel like that's just so cliche and a bit, in my opinion, like, it's also good to talk highly of yourself, but like a bit narcissistic, because for me, I don't think about the give back. I just think about, just paying it forward. So who I am is just a selfless Black man who's just trying to leave the world better than he was brought in.
Yeah, and that's amazing. That is amazing.
That's a great perspective. Well, then what inspired you to write The King of Love?
So what inspired me to write that, Nancy?
That's all good stuff there that you gave us now.
I appreciate you.
There behind that.
So what inspired me to write it was essentially the experiences that I've been through, and also experiences that I've witnessed others go through, and just being a writer and just thinking and just being able to elaborate, embellish, and expound on a particular situation, right? So for example, Willow Tree was inspired by a trip to New Orleans, and they have like this national landmark, like it's this huge park, and portions of it is just full of willow trees. And I was walking along this park, and then I seen this particular person just sitting down, and then I can just imagine what homeboy was going through. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
as a writer, I'm able to just kind of like channel, you know, emotion, channel experience, and just make it into something. You know what I mean? So
So it's
Willow
almost like
Tree,
visualizing everything
yeah, you know what I mean? And as
going
a,
through, and you're able to visualize and put it onto paper and, you
yeah,
know, kind of
and
feed that emotion through.
exactly. And homeboy looked like he was going through some stuff. So it
Wow.
it was one of those things where I'm like, why not? You know, so that's where most of my writing has come from. But definitely something that's been weighing on my heart for years, because with all that experience, there's only, as a writer, there's only one way to get it out. So King of Love just started off as like one poem, and then it turned into like, oh, you know what I mean? So
What was the first poem that you wrote that kind of started your journey off?
with this book,
Yeah.
that's a good question. Um, um, oh boy, I knew we were gonna get into it. The McCray pamphlet.
Oh
So
Lord, the McCray pamphlet. I love that one.
yeah,
So
so the
guys, let me
McCray.
tell you, hold
Go
on. I
ahead.
have to tell them I have a couple of favorite poems
Good thing.
within this amazing book. The first one
Yes.
being, and I have to tell everybody who doesn't know, is
Mhm.
8/22/09.
Mm-hmm.
And that one
Yes.
is my favorite because ironically, that's the day that he got married. And that's the day I got married. That's my exact wedding anniversary.
Look at
8/22/09 is
that.
when I got married. So that poem had all different types of feelings in it. And I actually, you know what? And later on, I want to read one.
Sure.
But I picked up another one that I kind of sort of love now. So
Oh, cool. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But McCray pamphlet was the first one, and just to give you guys a glimpse into the life of a writer, you
right.
never just start and just finish in one sitting. Like there's times when for me, actually, my process is I'll start off with like a couple lines or two, or I'll start with like a couple stanzas, if you will, and then I'll go back to it, because for me, I'm very patient with my writing, just in life, just in general. Like my pace is just like, it's gonna get done. But but I don't like to rush things.
Right.
So with this particular piece, obviously it was inspired by, my favorite Broadway show, Hamilton. And, if you guys are familiar with the whole Hamilton story, he has something called the Reynolds pamphlet, where he discusses his affair with Mariah Reynolds, who was actually a person who was married, right? And I just felt like, although the it's loosely based,
Right.
I just felt like the fact that he was able to confess these things in such a manner of, just throwing it out, putting it out there, and potentially, ridding his chances of becoming president, right? He just said, fuck, I can curse.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just he just said fuck it. And he just did it. So for me, it wasn't something I was just like, I don't know how this person or whatever. It's just a matter of, as a man, we have to be naked with our emotions, with our truths. You know what I'm saying? And not hide from that. So whether or not some people may think, oh, there's some truth this or not, it's for them to decide. It's not for me to say, yeah, that's true, that's true, that's true. Because in art, it's meant to be subjective. It's meant for you to
Absolutely.
just try to
Right.
put in the pieces. So it's funny that we discussing this, because there are many people who've mentioned that poem. It's like, oh, what about this part? And now I'm like, listen, I'm not here to say, that part is true and that part is meant for that person. It's just a matter of, when I feel an artist or creative is putting down emotion or any type of art, is meant for interpretation, not meant for, justification.
That's a very good point,
That's
because you know
interesting. Yeah.
what? Any type of art, even music, is
Yeah.
subjective. Everyone's going to have their own perspective,
Mhm.
which actually brings me to my next question.
What's up?
Because I want to read a poem that I thought was super dope, and when I read it, I'm going to let you know the perception that I had from this specific poem. All right?
Awesome.
So
Do the
let
thing.
let me jump right into it. And
Okay.
is it good that I read it? Are you good with that?
Do your thing. It says I have to learn how to appreciate other people reading my stuff. So this is just like a learning experience for me. So it's all good.
All right. So I'm gonna start.
Do your
All
thing.
right, guys. For anybody just jumping on, this is Mama's Cocktail Hour. We are with our guest, Omar King McCray. We are talking all things love with his book, King of Love. And I'm about to read one of my favorite poems on here that had me feeling a certain vibe. And we'll get into that after I read the poem.
Let's go.
All right. So should I brush my hair more often? Should I cover my mouth when I'm coughing? I just want to know what I could do better. Should my words serenade you like love letters? Can I knit you a sweater? Can I pull out your chair? Can I take out your hair? I swear I'm trying. If I said I wasn't, you probably think I'm lying. So what can I do to make you stay? Is it that much but better when I'm not around? Am I the reason for your salty frowns? Can I sing you a song off key? Was it me, all alone? The constant migraines, the throbbing toothache, dishes left unwashed, those apologies that you never quite received? In retrospect, I did all that I can do to make you leave. So why should you stay? I made you this way. Never more shall I? Bottle up quicksand to hold your hand. I'm sorry for what I've done to make you feel lesser than. Stay. I'd rather see you leave, because to love you is to know that I will never be what you need. Woo! All right. Super, super dope poem.
Thank you very much.
So first, let me give you all your glory. It's amazing. But I want to tell you what I thought my perspective was.
Please.
And you could correct me, and you can tell me either this is nay or, yay or nay. But
it's all good.
This past week, we have been talking about in Mamas a lot about insecurities and how us as women often have insecurities when it comes to our bodies, the way we look, the way we sound, the way we act, if we're not girlish enough, So we were discussing it. We were talking about positive body image, like just being appreciative of what you have, regardless of what it is. So in this poem, I kind of read a man that was feeling insecure in his relationship. And that was my take, because it was like he was trying to do everything to make this person essentially love him. And it wasn't enough. You have to enlighten me. What is this about?
So that particular poem was, wow. All right. So
deep.
Because I remember I remember the mode I was in. And to be real, it just took me back to, it was one of those poems where, or put it like this, I guess is a better analogy. You ever think about one particular thing? Like, say, for example, you're sitting with your kids and then you think about when you were a kid.
Yep.
And then it takes you back to a time that you did one particular thing as a kid that kind of like set everything off, that kind of like triggered the rest of your life, if you will.
Yep.
So with that particular moment, with this particular piece, it just channeled me to one moment. And then I thought about all of my experiences as far as, in relationships and some, of course, as a writer, you over embellish. So it's one of those things where as men, we tend to think, so imagine you guys. So when men are on your bad side, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we do everything under the sun to make everything okay.
Yeah.
Like, let me do the dishes. Let me cook dinner, make breakfast. You know what I mean? So when I said those things, let me take out your hair, pull out your chair, things like that. It's one of those. It's speaking to that moment in time when there's obviously friction, and the relationship is on its last leg. You know what I mean?
So essentially, it is about insecurities, but insecurities within your relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
I think
I agree. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna, and I think it's one of those moments when in relationships, we don't really discuss when it's on that, it's holding on to a thin thread, and we can either find another thread to strengthen that hold, or we just let it break. So it's a matter of just within that poem was just channeling all those thoughts, and it was also to just show how men bleed too. Men have emotion. Men go through heartache and trying to do all that they can, right? Just as, I mean, I don't want to shun or disregard the women going through heartbreak in that regard, but I also want to acknowledge that men hurt, men have feelings, men go through the motions of, how women have daddy issues, men have mommy issues. And I know we discussed that in a previous setting, but it's just
interesting. Yeah.
That's you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where I'm speaking to that experience, because ever so we often hear the woman experience of heartache, but we very seldom hear and read the experience of men going through heartache. So I just wanted to kind of capture that. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely think you, and it's so funny because so many people had so many different perspectives when we read this. I think one perspective that Nancy had was that it was a poem about your mother.
Yeah, that particular piece, that wasn't about my mom, but it was just to speak to the situations I grew up in, where most men grew up with just a mom in a household and didn't know how to interact and didn't have that relationship, right? So as a dude who grew up with both parents, like I didn't have I was a mama's boy, but as you get older, you kind of like stray away from that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, I'm speaking to that moment. I'm speaking to, to that experience that I've seen men have with their parents, with their moms specifically. So but not in that regard. I have mom issues.
No.
Hi, Mom, by the way. Love you.
Hi, Omar's mom.
Hi there.
So I think that's a super it's an amazing poem, because I love to see the man in that emotion, so to speak. And I think that goes back to what you were saying and how you feel like a lot of times we don't see the man hurt, or we don't see the aspect of the man hurting, and it's so true. We always see the female perspective.
And it's important to see both sides of it, because it personalizes it,
Exactly.
And gives, that other side, the opportunity, to have that feeling and not be judged so harshly when they don't, when they come in to that side of the emotion too,
Yeah.
Now, I want you to be honest here, and this is a hard question, but I think it's important for women and women on our show. Shout out to everybody who's watching, to see a man's perspective on love, to see a man's perspective on insecurities, to see a man's perspective on I just lost my train of thought. What was it was love and insecurities, but I have to ask you the question about insecurities. So what is one insecurity that you have currently right now, or you had when you were in that relationship?
Well, I can speak to what I had when I was in that relationship. Just not being a sufficient provider and knowing my shortcomings. And this is speaking about my marriage, my previous marriage, and I realized as I kind of fell short as a husband. And like I said before, in many different settings, like at 24, not really having a good idea what a husband duties were. And I mentioned in the book that, I cheated, because I did in that regard, because I cheated her out of love that she deserved. And as men, we have to acknowledge our shortcomings. And it's that point in time when, kind of like that cliche saying, you have to look at the man in the mirror. And that was one of the most uncomfortable moments in my life, because I had to stand in that mirror and recognize the shortcomings, right? And it was coming from that person I've lived with for my whole life. And if I'm gonna be on this earth as a Black man, I want to make sure that I'm letting the ones that are coming after me know how it's done, right? Because it's difficult to try to, be that, be a beacon of truth and honesty if you're not, like living in it, so it's one of those things where I acknowledge that. And I always told myself, if I'm going to get into that realm of happiness, of love, marriage, if you will, I want to do it right. Yeah. And I don't want to cheat that process because it's sacred. And
what are your perspectives on marriage now that you've been married, some of the ins and outs of marriages? What are some of the things that you feel like you would change now if you were married now?
That's a good question. Finances are very important.
Yes, preach.
It's imperative, right? So I don't want to get too explicit, too detailed, but it was one of those things where it was something that I took for granted, because like I said, 24, 25, like I'm still like, oh, money, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's not something that you're cognizant of during that time. Like I didn't have that financial literacy back then, you know, and it suffered. My relationship suffered. It was it was moments and times when we, it wasn't all good because we were so mentally and emotionally strained on, other things. So,
and I also think you're in your 20s. I know I was married early 24, 23, and our responsibilities were different back then versus what our responsibilities are now. So when I was able to spend maybe $300-$400 on a night out to the club, popping bottles with your man or your husband, you know what I mean?
So different now.
Bottle service, and then you come home and you're like, oh shoot, now we're gonna have to really budget. You know what I mean? Like, I think your perspective changes. That's why I'm saying, if you got into a relationship now with a woman, what would be some of the things that you would know? Like, okay, I did this in my previous relationship. I need to change this.
Just being given now, like I'm a bit more, how do you say, transparent with things.
That's good.
It's one of those things where experience taught me that. And that's one of the lessons that I learned from, my relationship, just being a bit more transparent, even pushing and challenging the difficult conversations.
Yes.
It's very important.
So important.
That's so important.
I love that you say that, because this is what Mamas is all about. We so pride ourselves on having difficult conversations that we're even embarrassed to kind of talk about, because I think it's important for people to kind of see your perspective or see your grind, see how you came out of that. So thank you for sharing, some of your personal experiences, because I know that can't be easy.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, but not to cut you off, I'm so sorry, but it's just I put up a post the other day, yesterday with Lauryn Hill, and she's talking about, and one of the things I know that Lauryn Hill Unplugged like the back of my hand. I love Lauryn Hill. So she stated, if you're the same person as you were yesterday, it's not good, essentially, right? You should always be growing,
absolutely,
and evolving.
Yep.
And it's funny that we talking about this now, because I'm a bit more vocal now. People are understanding what's in this, or hearing what's in this brain of mine, but they were just so stuck on me just posting up basketball stuff and podcast stuff, and not really understanding what my thought process was on love and politics and education. So this is kind of like people's introduction.
In your community. We got to definitely highlight that. You went to a rally and you brought your kids with you virtually, right?
Yeah, I did.
That was super dope.
Yeah, June 2nd. That was an amazing experience. And during that time, like, I'm not sure if I discussed with y'all, but it was scary, because we were in the belly of the coronavirus, and the belly of, social injustice. We had George Floyd, we had Breonna Taylor, we had all of these things happening. and still we were in a pandemic, right? So I was all over the place, and I'm just thinking like, I don't know how this is going to turn out today, but I'm going. And my driving force was my son, because at some point in time, you know, he's going to go through that, and he needs to have that embedded in him. You know, like, you need to stand up for what you believe in, what you're passionate about, what you love, because I don't want it to just be, you know, I love, you know, as far as relationships, you know, love also comes from love for yourself.
Amen.
Love for your love for your community, love for your family, love for your friends. You know, what are you passionate about? You know, because a person without passion, as James Baldwin said, is a scary person. You know, so it's imperative that we push that, like, passion and having a love for something. You know, so that's what I was pushing, you know, and showing the kids that on June 2nd.
That was absolutely dope. If you guys don't know, Omar is a teacher. Yes. And you also are a basketball coach.
Yes, we have a basketball clinic tomorrow in Queens, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. Academic Basketball League. Shout out to co-founder and one of my brothers, Desmond Turner. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be lit, as a kid said.
Oh
they still say lit.
That's excellent.
What age are you coaching?
Between 6 and 14, but for the most part, I'm realizing kids between 13 and 14 think they know the game.
Oh,
so they kind of stray away.
Zeta knows all about that too well.
You know what I'm saying? So
I'm telling you. That's what I was going to say, because let me tell you, I've coached 6-year-olds and I've coached 16-year-olds, and the 16 forget about it. They Kobe on the court. They know everything. You know, you can't tell them nothing. So I agree. I love my little ones because I feel like that's
their hunger. Yes. They have a hunger. Like I have a little girl who's there. She's going to be there tomorrow. She is hungry, and I love her persistence. And I think that's important too. And instilling that persistence, that hunger in our young women, because guess what that comes out? That sprouts out to be. You become the vice president, first female vice president. You become the first female president. You know what I mean? So I think basketball is just a vehicle. Shout out. Yes.
Yeah, she's absolutely dope. But I think that's dope. I think it's great that you're
Thank you.
teacher, you're an educator, you're a dope dad. You're all things.
I'm just trying to be the best that I can be. That's all.
So let everybody know where they can find you on Instagram, and also let us know, because I know you have a documentary coming out soon too.
Yes. So you guys can find me on Adventures of Mcrae on Instagram. I'm working on a documentary, a docuseries that will be premiering on YouTube. You'll be able to stream weekly. Well, not stream weekly, but episode a week will be released. What is Love? Second season of Love is What? I'm going to start tomorrow. I have an interview out in Long Island for starting the second season. So yeah, that's been a project that's been 6 years in the making. So I'm really happy to see, you know, it come into fruition, and in the stories that I'm hearing and putting together the first episode, and just, I don't know, whenever you and this is with love, right? It encompasses everything, right? And part of creating King of Love is just walking in that path of what you love, right? Like I love to write, I love to create, I love to, you know, just spread love. You know, it's you know, it's life is too short.
Love is the Brooklyn way.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
it's interesting you say that. How do all these poems tie into your concept of love?
That's a great question. So the reason why it ties into the concept of love is because if you think about it, a life without love is a life not fulfilled, right? If you think about it, right? So with love comes experience, because for you to love something or someone, it's for you to experience life in its full capacity. Because if you think about things that we love and we hold near and dear to our hearts, we give 1,000,000% to it, right? And it's a love that's unmatched, love like no other. So, and you kind of like, on the flip side of that, think of hate, right? For you to hate something, that's a great feeling to have, which is a strong feeling to have, I should say. And whenever I hear my students say that, I'm like, listen, you might want to change that up because that's a strong emotion. Do you really hate that thing? Or do you just, is that like a temperamental kind of thing for right now? You know, it's essential. So me creating this book, it was just a reflection of that. It's just a matter of me combining what I know to be true to me, which is my feelings, my emotions, my hurt, and my experience, and tying it to what I'm passionate about, which is writing. You know, so when you ask that, which is a great question, that's the first thing I think about, is just love is just a reflection of experience and just telling your truth to it, you know?
Absolutely. That's super dope.
Absolutely.
If you guys don't know, this is Omar King McCray. We are talking all things about his book, The King of Love. And we read a poem, which I said would stay, but let's just, to finish it off, can we talk about 8/22/09?
You know it was coming, Omar.
Yeah, right. What do you want to know?
I want to know what inspired you to write 8/22/09.
So 8/22/09 was the year, day, the month that I got married. And it was a day that, you know, kind of like, I don't know, you don't forget certain things. Like your life, when things happen, you know, it's certain parts where I'll never forget, you know, the moment I seen my son, you know, come into this world, you know.
Yes, that's an amazing.
And you know what I'm saying, I'll never, you know, forget, you know, being at Madison Square Garden with my dad and taking a picture with him underneath, you know, his favorite Knick, you know, Willis Reed, underneath his retired jersey in the garden.
Don't you know what I'm saying? This to me. Don't start talking Knicks now.
Well, I'm a Knicks.
Willis Reed. What?
I'm a Knicks fan. Yeah. I played at the Garden. Shout out to
my goodness.
Shout out to my boy Donahue. I was able to play in the Garden, and
wait, hold on. So like,
I know we getting sidetracked.
You played at the Mecca?
Yeah. So really quick, and I promise you I'll answer 8/22/09. I'm gonna write it down so we can finish talking about it. So yes, I played at the Mecca 2 years ago, and how it happened. So this is the funny story, right? So I'm teaching in Brooklyn, and I'm running late. So normally when I run late to get there on time, I take a Uber from the Bronx to Brooklyn. Don't ask me how much, right? So on this
we don't want to know.
That's exactly right. On this particular morning, I got a ride from a dude who's actually, he's like a liaison, you know, he does stuff with the New York Knicks. And Anthony, his name is Anthony MSG. He's on Instagram. He's a dope brother. Recently had a terrible loss in his family. But he was a really dope guy. He is a really dope guy. And we were in the Uber, and then he had his radio on ESPN radio. So I am not a morning person. I strongly dislike the morning. So I'm just chilling in the back of the it's a really nice Uber, by the way. It's like a Denali. So I'm just chilling and joining. Yeah, Uber is, listen. So I'm just chilling. Yeah, it was one of those nice suburban things. And so I'm chilling in the backseat, have my headphones on, and then one of the stories piques my interest. And then he saw me listen, to see me engaging into the conversation. He's like, "Oh, you're a Knicks fan?" And I'm like, not to put it out there, but yes. And
I'm gonna disregard that, and we're gonna talk about that later. Keep on with your story.
So we talk about, and that's one thing to reel me in. Like we can talk. I can talk about basketball all day. Right. So we're talking about basketball, and he's like, you know, if you play like I do this thing at the Garden, and you know, the dope thing is you play in the daytime, and then in the evening you go to a game. So I'm like, dope. So it was like a bundle, and I was able to do that. You know, he gave me his info. Like I was able to even get like a discount on a ride, which was dope.
What? Yeah, just like that.
This is the best Uber you've ever been in.
I know. I'm like,
it's the gift that he's giving.
Yeah, he's a dope. He's a dope brother, and he let me know, and then I, you know, paid my way in, and I actually invited a friend of mine to hoop with me. And when we got there, let me tell you this, like, first off, when I get on the court, the first person I see,
oh God, who?
The first person I see is Latrell Sprewell, and I'm just like,
God.
oh snap! And then I'm telling my dad, and I'm trying to be Joe Bobby Smooth. I'm like, Dad, that's Latrell Sprewell. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just thinking about 1999 when they were in the finals and Latrell Sprewell with the braids, the braids, rocking the number 8, and to me, those are the best New York Knicks uniforms ever.
God.
And then behind him was Al Harrington. And then I'm like, oh snap. And I'm basketball, right? So I'm like, oh, Al Harrington. And like homeboy's hand was like
half of
I
you.
thought I had big hands, but he just gave me a dap like that. And it was just dope. And it was a great experience. And to see them, and then also to see my dad, and then to see him in the garden, because funny thing is, and it comes back to love, I promise you, like my dad always loved to like share sports, and that time with me, he wanted me to play football, quiet as kept, but I'm like, basketball was my thing. And he always promised me that he'll take me to a Knicks game when they play the Bulls. I'm a big time Jordan fan. It's Jordan forever, right? And so he never got a chance. So it was one of those things where I kind of paid it forward. And like I brought him to that experience, and it was one of those moments where I'll never forget, because like we shared that moment together. And after that, we went to Clive Frazier's restaurant, which was great.
Oh my God, did you go?
Yeah.
I've been.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I love it. He has like all his customized drinks.
Yeah, just one of them.
His slogans, and oh my God, the food was there. It was super amazing. I loved it. And they have the place where you could take photos. The basketball
they do the basketball court. Yeah. The funny thing is too, like I have it on my IG, one of my posts, where I have a highlight of the game where I made like a game-winning play, and one of my teammates, well, you guys could appreciate this, is Mr. Cheeks from the Lost Boys. He was my teammate. Yeah. So shout out to Mr. Cheeks. And it's funny, I went to school.
What?
I went to school. I taught the next day, and I'm like, hey guys, you guys want to see my highlights? And then I was telling them the story about the dude, Mr. Cheeks. And imagine saying Mr. Cheeks to a bunch of middle school kids, right? So I was just like, all right, guys, tell your parents. And so it was just kind of funny. They were like, hey, yo, Mr. McCray. I'm like,
what are you talking about, Cheeks? Their minds all the wrong places.
Exactly. So I kind of like, and my excitement.
Those hormones is running in. They don't know how to act.
Yeah, my excitement. I'm like, that's a, well-known rapper, Lost Boys.
Right. They don't know. But
they don't know.
Ask your mom, ask your dad. They know who Mr.
Cheeks. Yeah. But he was a great teammate. He was dumb cool. He gave me the hardest daps I ever got in my life. And I pride myself on giving like those impactful daps, but he just like, it was on some like 19. Yeah. He took it back.
So thank you for sharing that. You definitely need to come on my Knicks blog then. We need to talk about that. I go live every Sunday, and I do my Knicks blog, and
But you come off, wait. I'm glad that we have this space, because you come off a bit pessimistic sometimes about these Knicks. Like, you gotta give them a little bit. There was one time I peeped one of your sessions, and then you were just like, the Knicks, they got. I'm like, come on, you got to be patient. I'm a Mets fan. I know all about patience.
I'm married into the Mets. This is why.
No. I'm a Mets fan. Mets fan.
Oh,
New York Mets.
I know. So you understand the struggle, but this is the problem I have with my Knicks, is that we take 2 steps forward.
Of course.
And we take 4 steps back. And so the struggle is real. So yes, I am very pessimistic. Sometimes I'm positive. Like right now, I'm happy. We go into the playoffs, baby. I'm excited. What? Look, I'm being positive. Was there going to be some negativity there?
Good. I'm just hoping that there's no follow-up. Just good. I just hope he wasn't going like...
Guys, I promise you, we're going to take this offline. He's going to definitely come to my Knicks blog and try to make me more positive about it.
I'm going to watch that one.
And we'll be on there. So we'll talk more. But let's finish up with 82209.
So 82209. So like I said, it was one of those moments where I'll never forget, because as a man, the marriage is a big step, right? So we think about everything. And if we don't, then I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure. I can't speak for any other man, but for me, I thought about everything that led me to that point. And my 23, 24-year-old mind self, I was just like, this is what we doing. This is what we rocking. This is my ride or die. And then it just took me to, to different emotions that I had the night before. So in essence, it should have been 8/21/09, but 8/22/09 is the day of the wedding. But I was mainly, most of the thoughts came and were conjured from the night before, right? Like I took like a really, really strong shot of tequila that we had in the house for like ages. I don't know what, it was just terrible tasting going. It was bad. It was bad. It was like, oh man.
That's it.
No. It wasn't a hangover. It was just really bad taste. It was like, when you drink something, you think it's not going to go down that bad. It went down pretty terribly. But it just, like I said,
talk about in that poem really quickly that you had reservations and you felt that day.
Yeah, and I think, it was just in that particular point, it was speaking to the male perspective. Most of my guys whom I know are married now had the same type of thoughts, that they had reservations, because are they thinking, are we sure? Is this it? Am I really want, you know what I mean? So, and speaking to that, it was also speaking to that moment, and also that moment of vulnerability, that I wasn't able to channel before. And, it was nerve-wracking. I was nervous because this is the one person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And you ask yourself, are you sure? And I was asking myself that at 24. And, it was, at that time, I felt it was definitely the right thing to do. And yeah, so 8/22/09, it was definitely talking to that moment in time.
Well, we have some comments that I'm reading right now. We have a comment from one of our fans. She says, oh my God, his poems are so dope. Words can't even explain the poem and how much depth is behind it. So I think they were referring to the poem Stay.
Yeah.
So just some feedback from our fans. So they're really loving it. So
appreciate you.
Plug in really quickly where you can find everything now in case they want to find your poem, they want to know where to buy it.
Yes, you can go on Amazon.com, anywhere books are sold.com, and you can purchase the Alchemist Cookbook, which we're independently surpassed. I think I said 50 a couple of weeks ago, but we're now at 75, so that's great.
Wow,
that's great.
Not really sure where King of Love is, but I'm just grateful of the support. So yeah, you can find it anywhere books are sold, Amazon.com specifically, and Alchemist Cookbook is also available on Kindle.
Okay.
I'm still working on the kinks for King of Love to be available on Kindle, but slowly but surely.
And where can they find you on Instagram, Omar?
Again, you can find me at Adventures of Mcrae. Adventures of Mcrae. Yeah, Instagram? Adventures of Mcrae. Yeah.
All right, guys. You can find him at Adventures of Mcrae. If you guys haven't clicked the link in the subscription, please click the link so you can be alerted when we have the next video. If you guys are catching this is Mama's Cocktail Hour. We had the amazing Omar. We spoke all things love here. We also dived into some of his poems. Any final thoughts, Omar, that you want people to know out there?
So a couple of things. One, I am not a savant or expert on love.
Everyone's gonna be hitting you up.
Yeah, I know, right? So, because there's been 2 occasions where I've been like, yeah, so I've been going through this thing. Like, listen, I'm just a mere person who just had experiences with love, and it's something that I feel there's truth to it, and I think that we should give forth our truth as men, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to be happy, and you want to give love, right? you know,
Right.
in any capacity. It doesn't have to be subjugated to a person. It can be to a craft, you know, to something to a profession, right? So it's more so about that, and that's where I am. I mean, we are living on borrowed time, so we just have to make the most of it, you know.
Right.
So it doesn't take that much to, you know, to love.
Well, you guys heard
Yeah.
it here. You heard it from Mr. Omar himself. If you guys want to check him out, you can check him out on Instagram. He also has his book available for sale on Amazon. I will link all the information in the description below.
Yes.
Omar, thank you so much for giving me a second chance.
Yes. Thank you, Omar. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming out today, and we are going to talk next sometime soon.
Yeah. Don't be so pessimistic, man.
I'll try not to. But
I'm hearing they might get a big time free agent. I mean, they got the right coach, they got the right players, so they just need the right free agent signing, you know.
I'm hoping, and I'm definitely
you don't even sound hopeful.
You see? All right. Well, we are gonna definitely link up to talk more things next. Thanks for coming on, Omar. Again, I really appreciate it. To all my loves out there, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
All right.
Have a good night.